Ever wonder what drove our favorite pinballing menace, the Blight, to become the terror he is in Dead by Daylight? In this video, we are diving deep into the lore of Talbot Grimes, a man whose thirst for knowledge led him down a dark and dangerous path. We'll explore his transformation into the Blight, his unique abilities, and the impact he's had on the game. So stick around if you're ready to delve into the mind of a killer who is as unpredictable as he is terrifying. Trust me, this is one tale you don't want to miss. The Serum and Experiments. Now, you might know him as the hulking, hunched-over figure that's always in a rush to get somewhere, but there's a lot more to him than meets the eye. Born in Scotland, Talbot Grimes was not your typical child. While other kids were playing with toys, Talbot was busy playing with plants. He was a curious lad with a fascination for the natural world, especially the flora around him. His interest in plants wasn't just about their beauty or their scent. Oh no. He was intrigued by their chemical properties. This fascination was so intense that it often put him in harm's way. But hey, what's a little danger when you're on a path of discovery, right? As he grew older, his passion for plants and chemistry didn't wane. Instead, it led him to the prestigious London School of Medicine. Armed with his new alchemist's ring and extraordinary brilliance, he was soon recruited by the British East India Company. They saw his potential and put him to work, not realizing they were setting the stage for a horror story that would make Freddy Krueger shudder. Grimes was tasked with creating a chemical that could boost worker productivity without the need for rest. This earned him a secret laboratory under a prison camp, where he conducted experiments on prisoners. Talk about a dream job for a chemist. His experiments, fueled by a concoction of potent adrenaline vials and mysterious umbra salts, pushed the boundaries of sanity and ethics until they finally led him to a groundbreaking discovery: a serum with immense potential. This was the stuff of legends, a substance that could change the world, or destroy it. Grimes began testing the serum on prisoners, turning his secret lab into a house of horrors. The side effects were gruesome, leading to unspeakable atrocities. Despite rumors that it drove men mad and caused soldiers to massacre innocent people, Talbot refused to take the blame and continued his work. Soon enough, his unethical practices landed him in a pretty bad place. Literally, a mass grave of his own creation, when his enemies kidnapped him and left him for dead. As he lay there, buried under the weight of countless corpses, he was consumed by a potent mix of despair, fear, and a burning desire for survival. Then, he was found by a group of mystics, or as some of you might know them, the Entity Cult. They had been keeping an eye on him, and they took him to their ancient school, which was cleverly disguised as a monastery. In return for their help, Grimes assisted them with his knowledge in exchange for furthering his studies. But his obsession with the so-called soul chemical grew, causing even his rescuers to fear him. His relentless pursuit led to the collapse of the school, possibly due to their meddling with other dimensions. Grimes woke up in an opium den surrounded by addicts. He was injected with a substance by a robed figure, causing his mind to spiral into a stupor. But even in this state, his dedication to his research didn't waver. With the help of a summoning stone, he etched his research findings onto the wall, and when he ran out of space, onto his own chest. In a frenzied state, he saw a vision of a field of orange flowers and heard whispers promising him knowledge beyond human limits. He stepped into the vision and disappeared into the mist, leaving behind only his wall of research with the phrase, "Death is only the beginning." The robed figure whispered tales of a place, possibly the realm of the Entity. Overwhelmed with curiosity, Grimes was drawn into this new world, leaving his old life behind. But even in the Entity's realm, his obsession with research didn't cease. He continued his experiments, this time on the killers of the realm. His actions led to his transformation into the Blight, a grotesque figure with a melting face, reminiscent of the killers he once experimented on. The Entity's realm and transformation into the Blight. After his transformation to the monstrous Blight, Talbot found himself in the entity's realm, a place where he was both the hunter and the hunted. Imagine being a brilliant scientist working away in your lab under a chipped monocle before turning into a monstrous killer who suddenly finds himself being hunted down the next moment. Talk about a career change, right? As a survivor, Talbot was subjected to the same trials as the others, forced to repair generators and evade the killers. But unlike the others, Talbot had a secret weapon, his serum. He used it to enhance his abilities, making him faster and stronger, but even then, survival was a brutal, unforgiving task. As a killer, Talbot used his serum to become a terrifying force. He could rush at survivors with incredible speed, smashing into them before they even knew what hit him. It was a far cry from his days as a chemist, but he'd adapted, using his knowledge of the serum to become a formidable killer. But even in the entity's realm, his obsession with the serum and the pustula flowers didn't wane. He continued his experiments, using whatever ingredients he had at hand, from cankerthorn to plague bile. He also discovered a unique species of flowers that he named the pustula flower. These flowers, vibrant and glowing, emitting a strange, intoxicating aroma, were unlike anything he had ever seen before. He dedicated much of his time to studying them, believing that these flowers held the key to understanding the entity's realm and potentially finding a way to escape from it. As Talbot's obsession with the soul chemical grew, he began to lose sight of his humanity. He was no longer the curious botanist, the ambitious chemist. He was becoming something else, something darker. His fascination with the serum had turned into an addiction, a need. He was injecting himself with the same putrid serum that survivors collected during the Blight events. It was as if he was trying to become one with his creation, to understand it from the inside out. But the serum was not just a tool for understanding. It was a weapon. Talbot began to experiment on the other killers in the realm of the entity. He was playing God, and the entity was his playground. In fact, one of his most notable subjects was none other than Herman Carter himself, the doctor. However, his meddling didn't go unnoticed. The entity, displeased with his actions, banished him to the void, a place of nothingness and despair. But Talbot Grimes was not a man to be easily defeated. He used his knowledge of the serum to escape the void, a feat that would have been impossible for anyone else. When he returned to the entity's realm, he was transformed into something even more monstrous and terrifying than before. But he also realized that the serum was more than just a tool for survival. It was a weapon, a means to an end. In the end, Talbot Grimes did not become the Blight. He was always the Blight. The serum simply revealed who he truly was. A monster, consumed by his own ambition. And as he stalked the survivors, he couldn't help but wonder, was it all worth it? Was the pursuit of knowledge worth the price he had paid? That's a question only Talbot can answer. Additional relationships. Now, if you've been paying attention to the lore of Dead by Daylight, you might have come across two names that are often associated with the Blight, Dredge and Vigo. Dredge was a fellow scientist and a close associate of Talbot. They worked together at the British East India Company, and it was Dredge who first introduced Talbot to the mysterious soul chemical. But their relationship was far from friendly. Dredge was envious of Talbot's genius and saw him as a rival. When Talbot's experiments started going awry, Dredge seized the opportunity to discredit him and get him expelled from the company. But little did he know, he was just adding fuel to the fire of Talbot's obsession. Vigo is another enigmatic figure who has been a subject of many fan theories. Vigo was another scientist who found himself trapped in the entity's realm. Like Talbot, he was fascinated by the entity and its powers. He studied the entity and its realm extensively, creating contraptions from the fog and even altering the spawn locations. Some fans believe that Vigo and Talbot might have crossed paths in the entity's realm. Could it be that Vigo's experiments influenced Talbot's transformation into the Blight? Or did their paths cross after Talbot became the Blight? But here's a tantalizing tidbit for you. There is a certain character, someone who's been stirring up quite a bit of intrigue in the Dead by Daylight community, who we'll be covering in a later video on our channel. If you're a fan of the lore, you'll definitely want to stay tuned. Character design and fan theories. Now, the design process for the Blight is no less fascinating. The team drew inspiration from the classic tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Talbot's transformation into the Blight is not just physical, but also psychological, mirroring the dual nature of the original fictional characters. And here's a fun fact for you. The Blight's perks are all based around objects that survivors interact with. This is also why his window animation is incredibly similar to a survivor's. It's these little details that make the Blight's design so compelling. Now, the Dead by Daylight community is a creative bunch, and they've come up with some fascinating theories about the Blight. One popular theory as discussed on Reddit suggests that all the characters with blighted skins have them stabbed in their backs. The theory goes that Blight sneaks up to them, stabs them, and then uses his Blight Rush speed to run away. Just imagine Talbot zipping around the entity's realm, causing chaos and leaving a trail of blighted victims in his wake. Another theory, and this one's a bit more out there, suggests that the blighted variants of the killers come from the future and are the result of Blight serum experiments. Now, isn't that a mindbender? The idea that the entity's realm isn't just a place, but a crossroads of time and space where past, present, and future collide. As for future developments, well, that's anyone's guess. But the game developers have pointed out his proximity to the entity, and that he might even have discovered what the entity could be. They also mentioned that upcoming chapters might reveal other areas that Blight has visited in the realm, areas that aren't open to any killer or survivor right now. It's possible that Talbot might just discover a way to control or manipulate the realm in ways we can't even imagine yet. From the humble beginnings of a curious botanist to the terrifying figure of the Blight, Talbot Grimes' journey is a chilling testament to the dangers of unchecked ambition. As we delved into his story, we've seen how his relentless pursuit of knowledge led him down a path of horror and despair. But remember, in the realm of the entity, nothing is as it seems.